Aries, thank you so much for your patience and welcome to your December 2025 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. I know many of you have been waiting for the November and December combo. As you can see, we're going to be just focusing on the month of December. I will pull a couple of cards just to see where the karma or loose ends would be for the month that's previous to this, but the main focus is on the month ahead. Here's the plus side. You're going to get a deeper dive than most of the other signs got this month, so you'll really get to be able to basically sink your teeth into this month ahead. And I'm going to be beginning with your sign for January. So probably in a day or two from now, you'll get the January reading. And again, these are going to be separate, one for each month. Thank you for being patient. As I've been saying to the last 2 or 3 signs, many people just think of me as a machine that just keeps pushing things out, but there's a human behind all of this. And I had a really bad sinus and ear infection. I was on massive steroids, antibiotics, and decongestants, and it really just did a number on me. I was in bed for most of the month. So thank you for allowing me to heal and repair myself. I'm now fully here and ready to bring forth messages for you. So let's get into your channeled messages. What I'm seeing in my mind's eye right now is it's kind of like a forge. I'm thinking of like Hephaestus, kind of sitting there and forging new metal. And with this, there's a couple of things that you need. One is resources and materials. So we're going to look specifically at where pentacles are showing up in your spread. Do you have enough time, energy, and money to get things done? Passion is the other thing. The fire in a sort of forge can represent your passion and also your kind of follow through. So I want to make sure that we have resources, passion, and follow through. And the tools that, the smith would use to kind of forge things and create them, that could also fall into the resources. But I also want to see if there's any hidden skills that you could or should bring forth in this moment in time. So without any further delay, again, one more moment to just say thank you for waiting. Now let's get started and shuffle the cards. Let's begin by giving Apollo a little pat on the head. Hey buddy, how's it going? Who's a good boy? We'll leave him be, and we're going to go ahead and get everything set up here in the spread. As I do this, by the way, take a moment, please, to close your eyes and imagine that there is a circle of light around your body. Within this circle of light, invite in angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. All right, give me a second here as I get set up. And nice deep breath. And let's begin. As I'm thinking of that forge too, another phrase comes to mind, which is to like forge a new path, because metal is malleable and you can kind of like hammer out the details or hammer out something new. So let's see what comes forth. Ooh, very powerful. All right, let's begin. As promised, I wanted to start with one card that could wrap up and summarize the sort of karmic takeaway from the month of November. We have the Hierophant, but it's in the reverse position. Typically, the Hierophant is a very structural card, very organized, lots of hierarchy, and when the card comes through reversed, it can represent a internal resistance to that. Sometimes a reversed Hierophant can be good. It encourages all of us, for instance, to think outside of the box, to look for another way. So where there's a will, there's a way. It's that kind of energy. There are a couple of caveats, though. Sometimes it can show a lack of structure. So you have to know how to break the rules before you break them, and you have to build something to a point that it's stable before you decide, oh, I want to try this or this. Make sure that you're organized. Make sure that there's a plan. And if you find that you want to explore an alternate path at that point, perfect. This can also represent an arbitrary gatekeeper, someone in your life that, like it or not, you have to get like a rubber stamp approval from. Don't give too much time or energy to thinking about this person. Do what you need to do to get that approval and then move forward. What's lacking in this illustration, usually there's 2 keys and 2 disciples. So it feels like many of you are in this kind of like entrepreneurial moment where you think, I don't necessarily subscribe to the old way of thinking. And I think that's healthy. So there are 2 keys on this card, which I'm going to find as I'm talking. And this is a reminder to not be too razor focused, thinking that there's only one way to get something done. There are multiple ways. If there's a friend, advisor, or family member, maybe even a mentor that is convincing you otherwise, it could simply be because they lack the experience, the context, or the imagination. And that's the thing that I really want you to trust is your imagination. This person always played by the rules, not the disciple, but the Hierophant itself. So they're not just in the structure, they're a part of it. And they're so far into and a part of the structure that they can't imagine a life outside of it. So you are coming through with more imagination, more creativity, more independence, and this just might not suit you. So you do what you need to do to get through it, and then you're like, I'm going to do my own thing. A lot of times this is sometimes like education, or again, maybe just getting someone to sign or stamp or seal something, and then it's like, now I can do what I came to the planet to do. All right, so that was your karmic card. Let's take a look at what I pulled for the catalyst. And this always is a good thing to have. It's not always easy to be able to laugh or have that sense of humor about things, but if you can find a way to laugh, please do. I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. In a very broad stroke, this is just about fun, enjoyment, recreation. Laughter is one of the best tools to release things. You can do it by crying, screaming, working out, laughing, sleeping. There's a lot of ways that you can process stuff. I love that we have a very happy, laughing Buddha at the center of this card. There is wisdom in being able to laugh. Now, it's not like a sarcastic, sardonic, or cruel laughter. It's more like if you can just laugh at the ridiculousness of life sometimes, it helps you realize that it's not always as serious as we make it out to be. When you can laugh, you can learn. When you can laugh, you can release. When you laugh, you also just create these positive endorphins. Literally, if you feel like watching a comedy or going out and just doing something fun and playful with friends, sports or something like that, please do it. It's good, it's healthy, it will help you recalibrate. Now let's focus on all of the energy for this month. You probably heard me mutter, ooh, powerful. In the near future, we have Hermit and Star energy. The Hermit always holds the star, so it's really auspicious that these two come together and are showing up here in the near future. There is a challenge in the environment. I think these two cards, Hierophant reversed and Devil reversed, are very much connected. We'll talk about that in a moment, but why don't we get started with your center card, which is the Four of Swords in reverse. This is a unique interpretation of Four of Swords. What we see here is what happens sometimes if you don't get the rest that you deserve. Let's look at the traditional card for just a second. So what I love about this is it comprises both 3 and 4 of Swords messaging. The 3 swords above, no longer piercing the heart, represent the healing that happens when you finally let something go. And we need time and space in our lives in order to process grief, sadness, and frustration. When you do that, the final sword beneath this sepulcher represents the ability to have more vitality, the ability to take action after you rest. When it's reversed, you're not giving yourself ample time to do that. And if we revisit this particular illustration, sometimes we end up putting our foot in our mouth or saying something or doing something that isn't quite measured, like from a strategic point of view. So if you haven't given yourself a break, whether it's a vacation, a sick day, or just 10 minutes to breathe, please do that after listening to this video today. And slow down. You might have a lot going on in your life at the moment. This can represent a schedule where you're overbooked, double booked, etc., or there's so many things that you just can't kind of like still your mind and focus. However you can find the stillness Whether it's a lot or a little, it will help you out. And that's the main focus here. Some of you are sleep deprived, and you might want to also be looking into if it is just environmental or schedule, or maybe if there's something going on emotionally, chemically, something with the diet or exercise. Sleep deprivation or sleep insomnia rather comes from a lot of different factors. So absolutely work with your doctor if you're experiencing that. Okay. Crossing this card, we actually have something that is auspicious and tells me you can get through this. Typically in this card, you would see people with outstretched hands asking for more and the scales. I might pull this in a second, but let's look at this one first. If you have clarity in what you want to do, you can get almost everything that you want to have accomplished done, provided that you are flexible on how much you do in a given day, and also maybe even the scope of what it is that you're trying to do. So with Six of Pentacles, there's usually something lacking. There could be the time, there could be the money, there could be the support. So you have to adjust one of those. And if you do that, you'll be all right. There's always outstretched hands and people that are ready to receive. But in this card, you have to create the balance, the limits, and set the tone. In addition to everything that I just mentioned, this card also represents the importance of basically making sure that there's reciprocity. So it's give and take. Here we see someone giving and we see plenty of people taking, but what's the flip side of this? Are you also receiving what you're putting out there? When you are a caregiver, when you are trying to help the world or trying to help people around you, don't deplete your battery. This is about being discerning. He's really deciding this person, not this person. I can't help everyone at once. And if you know anything about like electronics, there are certain battery types that if you diminish them, I can't remember which ones in general, but if you diminish them and get them to zero, deplete them rather, it actually shortens the lifespan. Some of them prefer to always have somewhat of a charge. So in our life, think of yourself as the latter. You need to have a little bit of a charge, and if you burn yourself out, each subsequent time that you go through a burnout, it takes longer to bounce back. Don't get to the burnout phase. This is why these are two very compatible cards, actually. So we have the potential of burnout and this sort of feeling of I'm tired, I need a rest, and then the choices that can help you get beyond that. You don't have to do it all. Delegate, say no, speak up, push back. All right, let's go to the deep past. So in the deep past, we have a great card. High Priestess, of course, being, I think, one of the most powerful cards in all of the tarot deck, but when she's reversed, for some reason, she doesn't believe in herself or she's not listening to her intuition. We have a genie in a bottle in this particular version of the card. And with it reversed, you may be questioning your ability to fulfill or accomplish a dream or a wish. The genie shouldn't have that doubt. She can make it happen. And because of the way that this is illustrated, it's very much in that energy that we should be focusing. Just because you don't see it in the environment or on the horizon doesn't mean that you personally can't create it. Two of Swords has this challenge. High Priestess in reverse has this challenge because they're both focusing on something that's practical or something that is like physical, but not something that's about to happen. You have to dream it, then do it. You have to believe it, then you'll be able to see it. And the High Priestess is reminding you of those simple truths. Stay focused, believe in yourself, and make it happen. Let's see what's going on in the recent past. We have Temperance coming through, and there's a theme, if you haven't noticed it already today. This Temperance angel is multitasking, and it is an angel, even though we don't see it in this particular version of it. I'll pull the traditional one in a moment. But what I see with this one is someone that is trying to be like multidimensional, everywhere at once. The important thing here is to take one step at a time. She's testing the water, which is part of the original card. So before diving headfirst into something, test the water. See if people are ready. See if you like it. And anything worth doing is worth doing right the first time. And one of the key ways to accomplish something well and not kind of rush yourself into something is to be cool, calm, collected, and take your time. Reflecting on the original version of the card, we also see a couple of pivotal pieces that I want to cover. One is that the angel is weighing the options. How do I feel? Does this look right, sound right? Have I done my research? That's part of the pause and the pacing. So looking at more than one options and not rushing on the path ahead. Again, you see them testing the waters. This is also significant because spirit speaks often in a soft voice, in subtle signs and signals. To be able to perceive them, we have to slow down a little bit. There's almost a frantic energy here with all of the multiple dimensional arms going. I do see how the angel is kind of calm, but I believe that it's being calm in the chaos and deciding what to tune into in particular. Because you can be in all these directions at once, but you have to focus to be impactful and effective. And I think that's part of this as well. I quite like what we see here in the crowning position. We have the Wheel of Fortune, which is representing where your head is at, where you can actually steer the ship here. So let's discuss. Of course, we can take this at face value. Some of you may be starting a new job, getting a better understanding or handle on your money, or in a more sort of figurative way, you could be looking at a cyclical change, getting to the helm of your ship and saying, I want to crank it in this direction, not this. And no matter which direction you decide to go in, based on the next two cards, I feel like you're perfectly aligned. With the Wheel of Fortune, before we move on to the Hermit and the Star, it's important for you to decide what makes me happy, what brings me a sense of, it's not just the money or the resources, but it's also this sort of sustainable foundation. Because this is all good and fine, but when we looked at the center cards, fatigue, and maybe not getting enough time, energy, or support, they're coming through. So in this moment, you're advocating for your worth. This is also nicely connected to the High Priestess, because you see the web behind the spider in the Wheel of Fortune. That represents all of the sort of work that you've been doing over this past year to set into motion this sort of net where you're pulling in dreams, opportunities, and other synchronicities. Stay connected, trust yourself, and listen to how it feels. The way that the spider works is they're feeling out those vibrations. So if something feels right for you, go for it. And if it doesn't, don't. That's why the High Priestess came through to remind you, don't ignore what you're feeling. Instead, lean in, double down, and believe. So I said, wow, this is amazing. I'm going to pull the traditional two cards just to show you why I'm so kind of wowed by this. If we look at the Hermit, he always has a star in his lantern. And then, of course, the star itself represents that manifestation. And for some of you, because we have the star first and the Hermit beneath, there is this, it's almost like a little bit of discomfort or lack of security as you step into the spotlight, because it feels like, indeed, this is a moment where someone might be tapping your shoulder and saying, I'd like you to help out with this. You might have a new job. There could be a relationship where the partner wants to take it to the next level. The star is auspicious. The Hermit is this old version of you that kind of wants to stay in the background. It was easier, it was nicer when I wasn't being noticed because nobody was scrutinizing me, because I wasn't having to sort of answer for everything all the time. But there's power in the star. Just like Temperance, notice how they have two cups or chalices and they're finding their way, they're feeling it out, and they're creating more flow in their life. So we talked about the very beginning when I saw resources and that forge, that like Hephaestus or Vulcan hammering away at things. What I like about these two cards is they show that you have a lot of different ways to pull in resources. And when you're connected to your passion, that's when things really start to flow and go in the right direction. So let's also take a look at this from a spiritual perspective. Doubling down on the High Priestess energy, this is a time to make room for meditation. Same thing with Temperance. Tune in and listen. All of that being said, I do feel like you have a stepping up opportunity. And even though in the past maybe it was easier not to be seen, karmically, energetically, and from a soul perspective, it feels like now is your chance. So don't second guess your potential. There's a lot of windows of opportunity opening up for you. Now let's take a look at you. I quite like this card. We have 3 of Pentacles. This card represents teamwork, mastery. In other words, if you do something, you not only pass with flying colors, but you're able to maybe even teach it or really embody it. And there's also recognition that is a part of this. When the card is reversed, there can be frustration in the speed with which these things happen. So when we embark on a 6 of Wands or 3 of Pentacles moment, so success or mastery, we do it not necessarily for the accolades, for the visibility, for the money. It's more for the fulfillment. So know this, you are aligned. We can see it in the preceding card, which is near future. You are aligned for success, but you may be sort of like a best kept secret at the moment. Prepare. When things really go big, they go big in a way where it's sort of like, wow, it's actually happening. In this moment in time, just continue to do great quality work. Don't take unnecessary shortcuts. Remember that you're doing something because it's helping you grow, and all of these things are going to help you out. Taking it out of that context, this can be going back, because it's reversed, to school. Finishing up a task that was nearly done but not before, but was, maybe put it on the back burner. So this time around, you're doing it with a sense of clarity. You're going to complete it, you're going to finish it, and then from this, great things happen. This is also an opportunity for many of you to write and to record things so that you can teach, share, publish, or somehow distribute it to the masses. Let's see what's going on in the environment. This is the trickiest card. So we have a reversed devil, and I'll take it if it's reversed, because you can see through whatever it is that's presenting this block. There could be someone, I mentioned earlier, the Hierophant is a person that lacks imagination. Why? Because they're so tied into the structure that it's all they know. And they're used to people kowtowing and saying yes. And if you are coming through and challenging the sort of status quo, they don't always like that. They want to have people kind of like go in rank and file and just say, yes, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. So the devil reversed is not happy that you're finding a way through to your own liberation. So be it. It's okay. It's okay for you to go your own way. This is also limiting thoughts, your own limiting thoughts sometimes, because what we saw in the near future was something bright opening up. Not only that, all three of these cards are great. So Temperance is the universe stepping in and helping nudge you on the right path. This can literally be a new job, new opportunities, new resources. This is visibility. And what we see here is maybe this sort of sense of doubt. Am I really doing this? Is this really happening? Yes, it is. Buckle your seatbelts. It's going to be an exciting journey. There also might be a contract in front of you that you absolutely should say no to if it doesn't meet your expectations. Maybe they want too much of your time. Maybe they're not giving you enough money. Maybe they want to own your intellectual property. Whatever it is about this that doesn't feel right, listen to that. If you're a recording artist, this is your masters, the Three of Pentacles. Find a way to keep your masters. If you're a writer, it's some of the publishing rights. Make sure that when you decide to distribute or kind of license some of them, that you have a chance for them to revert back. Always protect yourself in those situations. And if there's someone around you that just can't see it, that's okay. You're being protected by being rejected. It takes a long time to sort of see that in our own lives, but oftentimes rejection is protection. Let's look at hopes, fears, and opportunities. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. Take time to revise and edit your communication before sending it out. When you are talking to someone, make sure that you listen and clarify your beliefs and your interpretations. Likewise, when someone is reading something that you've received or listening to you, ask them, does that make sense? Do you have any questions? Make sure that the communication is clear. This is also a very to the point, blunt, and active card. So in the upright position, the page is just a communicator and it's doing what it does best in the suit of swords. But when reversed, it's saying, if I've been biting my tongue or waiting forever for something to happen, I really need to take action right here, right now. And with respect to the devil, the Page of Swords in reverse is going to say, no, stop, let's revise. It's going to stand up for itself. It doesn't have to do so in a way that is combative. It's very much owning the star power that we just saw in the near future. So speak up for yourself. Make sure that the words are interpreted correctly. Make sure that someone isn't misrepresenting you, by the way. So this can be someone that tries to put words in your mouth or tries to take credit or tries to say that you said or did something when you didn't. And absolutely the Page of Swords is going to speak up and basically protect itself when necessary. As we take a look at the outcome, we have the Four of Cups in the reverse position. This can represent a blessing in disguise. I think it's easier to look at a more traditional interpretation of this. We see someone here that is kind of lost in their emotions. They're looking at what could have, should have, or would have been. They can also be looking or comparing their life, I should say be looking at or comparing their life to someone else. And this presents a sort of, it's almost like a trigger, a mental trigger where they feel frustrated. Meanwhile, the universe is showing that other opportunity, that ace floating in the sky and saying, did you forget about this? Okay, you're upset about that, but what about this? Always go into a creative process where you think, why not? Why not try this? Or have I thought about exploring this opportunity? What am I missing? This card shows that there's something within reach that could be equal to or greater than what it is you're trying to manifest. It just requires the ability to see beyond the limits. And now we're going back to what I was talking about here, that this can sometimes be like a Two of Swords moment. The vision, the insights coming through, the universe might even be bringing it through in a dream or a vision, but for some reason you're blocking that. And based on what I'm seeing here with Temperance, Wheel of Fortune, Hermit, and Star, you have so much to offer, so much to offer. By the way, this is also teaching and learning, so some of you could even be stepping into a role of mentorship or kind of like being able to guide people if you want to. There's so much coming forth. We just have to move past, the blocks that were there before. All right, let's move on to the expanded forecast. In the expanded forecast, we look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We will begin, of course, with the energy of health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. And beautiful, beautiful and appropriate message coming through here, the unicorn, but the caption underneath that is purity. So this is a time to detox your life. Go for a more pure, clear, clean, and uncomplicated approach when it comes to what you put into your body, so your diet. Some simplicity and purity when it comes to environments around you. If there are toxic people or toxic places, it's time to clear, it's time to clean. Speaking of cleaning, it's a good time to clean out your home, clean out your closets. We hold on to things much longer than we need to. For those of you that have been longtime viewers, about, was it three years ago or so, I lived in a really nice apartment, but there was massive mold that came through the HVAC units and destroyed all of my belongings. After walking away from that, I realized that stuff is just stuff. You can absolutely rebound if you've been through something like fire, theft, or something of that nature, and you don't take for granted the importance of health, family, your loved ones, which, by the way, includes our furry friends like Apollo. These are things that you can't actually put a price tag on. So focus on less. Less is more sometimes, and let all of the other trappings kind of go away. All right, let's look at this from a higher perspective of what you need to be focusing on in your health, your mind, your body, and your spirit. So the fact that the devil is in the environment is indicative more of a person or a place around you that is pulling your vibe down. So I just mentioned for myself a few years ago, it was the apartment. So it can be a living space. It can be a job. It can be a relationship. Whoever or whatever this is, it's time to create space from that. Many of you might be finding this new awakening or this new connection to source energy, particularly with High Priestess and Hermit. Make more time for that. Meditate. Do things like yoga. Create just quiet time in your life where you're not trying to book it like nonstop. And now we're going back to that message of rest. The Four of Swords in reverse represents a schedule that isn't sustainable in the long run. Choices are necessary to bring balance, and you can bring balance back into the equation, especially when we look at this traditional version. Work-life balance and making sure that you're not exhausting yourself. Nobody is going to benefit from that if that happens. Interestingly enough, with Temperance, as I look at that foot dipping into the water, before you commit to something, we're at the point of the year now where people do like gym memberships or a new diet, new exercise routine. It's important to understand how that's going to affect your body. So take your time, test it out, and slow intervals are going to be better than going, face first into something unknown, or head first, I should say. Other things. Okay, Three of Pentacles and the Devil. This can also be something that is creating an interaction. So something in your diet or supplement or prescription history that's not mixing with something else. So make sure that you talk to doctors and give them everything that you're changing in your diet, and make sure that all of the drugs are continuing to be necessary if you're on any prescriptions. if you've had a setback, there might be a silver lining and there may be another way through it. Get a second opinion. It's the page, right? The Page of Swords in reverse can also represent, it's going to affect like tonsils, voice or vocal cords, and throat. So there may be a little bit of sensitivity in that area. As we talked about earlier, finding ways to have fun, to laugh, to make room for play in your life, also very, very important and underestimated sometimes when it comes to health in general. Let's move on to wealth, your resources, your life purpose, and your career. The card that came through for you was Learn from the Bees. It was reversed. So for some of you, there could be a little bit of hesitation or a little bit of pushing back, particularly when it comes to a hierarchy like we talked about, because bees are absolutely connected to the Hierophant energy. There is a queen, there are drones, there are worker bees, and there might be one other class that I'm missing. But basically, each and every group knows exactly what they need to do, and they don't get in each other's ways. So you may have to sometimes play within that rule book and just, kind of like compartmentalize what you're doing. But if you're in an environment where that's not happening, and we're saying learn from the bees, what we need is a leader, a queen bee, even though we have the Hierophant, which is divine masculine. So who's the leader and who's the follower? Ostensibly, you're being set up for leadership this month, if we just look at this generally speaking, because we have that divine feminine energy with the star. The Hermit needs to let go of its old ways of being in the background and step into the spotlight. And as I mentioned earlier, you already have the potential, even if you haven't done it. The Hermit always holds the star, but this is the month to step into that star power, be the queen bee, and set in motion something that people can follow, a clear and defined set of instructions or, a clear vision. Otherwise, the bees are just swarming around, right? Okay, let's break this down into a few categories. We're going to start off first with those that are already employed. If you're currently in a job, there's something in the environment that needs to be paid attention to. This could be a toxic coworker. There could be also a boss that micromanages. It doesn't come through as the main boss. It could be sort of like your intermediate manager. That's challenging when that happens. There are ways to get around it. You can talk to human resources. You can try to get reassigned. You have options here. I will say this. Whatever the toxicity is, given all the other cards, and if we just move our way around the center of the cross, this is patience. This is being able to do something that no one else can and do it well, star power, and your own intuition. You can work through this. Keep records right now. Absolutely make sure everything is recorded, like in writing or in email, so you can go back on that. With this, simply say no. The Page of Swords above this would say no. If someone's trying to gossip to get you to break policy or do something that you don't believe in, document that and push back on that, because there could be someone else that swoops in and agrees with your objection. You don't want to be stuck doing something that is wrong and you know it's wrong. So find a way to challenge or present another alternative. So the Four of Cups represents, okay, now we're back to channeled messages. Lean into the fact that this devil might be malleable a little bit. So you can say, I understand that you want this. Have you considered this? What about this? Or I talked to the client and they're actually wanting this. Show them new perspectives. It won't be easy always with the devil, particularly since we have this, but you may be able to turn their attention to the big picture. And if you can't, find someone else who can. This can be a trusted, learned, and kind of quiet person, but the two of you together, power in numbers, can perhaps turn the tide. Other things that I'm picking up on. You're probably overworked. You may be doing the work of a couple of people. And one thing that you can do in this situation is to simply say, I would be happy to help you, but in order to do that, something has to fall off. So help me prioritize. What is the trade-off here that you would like me to make? I can't do it all. I can help you. I can see this is important. Who can I delegate this to? Can we extend this deadline? Can I get some help on this? Make it their problem. That way, you're not going to get yourself in a situation that is going to make you feel like you're up against a wall. Okay? So again, all of this was for people that are employed. I feel like you have a lot of star power, a lot of creativity, a lot of potential. Don't get pulled into someone else's web because they've made a bad decision or because they're not thinking it through. Okay? have a sense of humor about all of this that's going on. If you can laugh about some of the nonsense at work, it can also help you, okay? Let's move on to those that are entrepreneurs. If you own your own company or if you're starting a business, launching something, overall looks pretty auspicious. Trust your vision. Don't let it get diluted. Pick your moment in time to launch. I'd like you to be more discerning about what's around you right now. So maybe the place that you're working isn't going to be enough to grow the business. Maybe the person in whom you're confiding needs to sign a non-disclosure. Maybe you're limiting the potential because, again, a lack of vision in an investor or something like that. I think it's really important to protect your plan, your intellectual property, and I would keep it with like a very small group of people until it's time to launch. If you already have an existing business, this can be a picky customer or someone who's unhappy. Let's deal with that sooner than later. And it might be better just to give them what they want so that you can move on, and it's better than a bad review sometimes. Three of Pentacles, I quite like your ability to create something that people can come back to. So subscriptions, like I said before, curriculums or things that people can review time and again. If you can create a sticky factor to it, not a one and done sort of thing, that's really, really good. So maybe you're releasing things in iterations as well. Wheel of Fortune here is showing good things. Just be picky about who you share things with. I think that's the most important thing for entrepreneurs. And don't get pulled into a contract, particularly with a vendor or distributor that doesn't suit your highest good. If you're seeking employment, can you find it? Yes. Yes, absolutely. You have a lot to offer. Wheel of Fortune, Hermit, Star. We need to bubble up some of the Hermit stuff, like all of your experience or hidden language skills or whatever it is that you don't talk about all the time. Bring those to the forefront. If there's something that you just applied to and you haven't heard back, I think it's for the best. So there is something that was just sent out that if there's a rejection there, it is absolutely a form of protection. What I see coming through for you is it's kind of interesting here with these last two cards. Four of Cups, Page of Swords reversed. Definitely when it comes to negotiation, don't be afraid to ask questions and to push back and ask for a little bit more. You might also need to look beyond what you're looking at. So a slightly different field, a slightly different geographical location, maybe a different title. It's not what was I going to say? Like a 180 rather. But it's just a little different. Pivot a bit. That could help you. You may actually find yourself not only finding one job, but a couple. Be careful. If you are kind of like a gig worker and you're booking a lot of different things, be mindful of, can I actually sustain and do all of these things? So I see some people taking two jobs to cover the bills because one isn't enough, and we're in that kind of economy right now, and I totally understand it. Just make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Because if you end up working all day and then you take another job that works into like the wee hours of the morning, eventually it's just not going to be something that you can sustain. You can do it for a few weeks or a few months, but not long term. It wears on your body. We don't want that to happen. And that's what I'm kind of picking up on here. If there's someone who, again, is trying to take you for granted and like not give you enough money or undertitle you, make sure that you fight back on that. And if there's a contract that just smells rotten, don't sign it. Have a lawyer look at it. I actually think things could happen quicker than you imagine this month because we see multiple options. Just be mindful of those slight cautionary notes. You can revise something, you can ask a question, and you might need to look in a slightly different direction to find what you're looking for. So a different title or a different geographical location in particular. But we do have the Wheel of Fortune, so this is a good time to apply and look for things. Maybe don't look just at the big companies. Look at some of the smaller or privately owned ones as well. That could help too. Students, overall, very good energy. I love that we have, not so much this card, but I love this. The Hermit and the Three of Pentacles. This is teacher and student. This is mentor and being able to master whatever you're trying to do. So that's fantastic. The Star is where it's all taking you. The challenge is at present. You may have a difficult environment that you're studying or learning or living in, something around your environment. So because we're looking at a pivotal month where there's finals and things like that, make sure that you get some distance from that space so that you can finish all that you set out to do. And there might be something that you're involved in right now where you just have to cut the ties. But let's not overlook the fact that we have Wheel of Fortune and Three of Pentacles. You're really getting a lot out of this, a lot of bang for the buck. Now, the one thing here that could get in the way here is sleep. You might be, again, this could be because the dorm or the living environment's noisy. There could also just be so much going on that you need to cut some things. Get enough rest. Otherwise, these can get blocked, and we don't want that to happen. Overall, pretty good for students. All right, retirees. For many of you, where you're living, there might be something about this where you're ready to sell it, move on. You're feeling a little bit stuck. And so if that's the case, it's okay. It might be time. But don't act without doing some research. Because if you just hop into something new, you might be missing an opportunity. So make sure that you're working with a couple agents. You're looking at a couple things if you're looking at moving. Other things that I see for retirees. You may also be in a phase of your life where people want to come to you for advice. You're retired, but I see money coming in. Money because you could do public speaking. You could be a teacher. People may want you simply to step in and temporarily advise. It could be a board of directors sort of thing. I do see alternate forms of money if you want to do that. For everyone else, this is spiritual development and learning something new. But oddly enough, there is a way to turn a profit or to find some money if you're looking for it. There's one thing to be mindful of. You've worked hard to get to the point where you could retire. There's going to be a lot of people in your life that may be having an open hand, just like I'm showing here. You don't have to say yes to everyone. Even if it's your children, even if it's someone around you, help them as much as you can, but not to the point of depletion, as we talked about earlier. We're kind of leaning into the energy of love and relationships, so let's talk about that. All right, so I really love this. It says equanimity for loved ones. May you see all things as they are. You can love, but you have to also make sure that you are being appreciated. You're not being taken for granted. And trust people also in the way that they're showing up. There might be someone in your life that just can't give you everything that you need or want. And when you know that, and when you see that, just hold space for that better version of them to eventually come through. But I've learned in my own life, I don't need to change someone. If they tell me I'm not good enough for you, I say, thanks for letting me know. I don't try to talk them out of it. Or if you're trying to date someone and they say you could do better than me, just say, I hadn't thought of it that way. Thanks for telling me. I am not going to talk you out of you revealing something that I need to see. So if there is a flaw, if there's someone that isn't ready, if they're lacking that confidence, trust in that. You deserve all of this or greater. You deserve what you're looking for. And my friends, you have the capacity to manifest this. On a similar note, with the equanimity portion, temperance is your best friend. Cool, calm, collected. You're not going to take the bait if someone is in a position where they're antagonizing or there's a toxic relationship or codependency. You're simply going to take a deep breath and say, this isn't worth my time and energy. Let's break this down into 3 categories. We'll look at existing relationships, those that are looking for love, and those that are single and happy. All right, for those who are partnered, let's see what's coming through for you. So the good news is the position of the devil has less to do with the two of you and more to do with something that's going on around you. This could be work stress, family stress, something that's out of your control. And so the important thing in these situations is to lean into this beautiful pairing that came through, the Star and the Hermit. They're very different, but they're also, like I said, cut of the same thread because the Hermit holds the Star. There's one part of this relationship where the person's a little bit more quiet and the other person is a little more vocal. Lean into the strengths. If something's upsetting the Hermit, the Star can come through and be the sort of mama or papa bear. So I think this is very complimentary and supportive energy. I think you guys have got this. I think the important thing, though, is to deal with this. Whatever this is, get a handle on it. Talk to each other and create like an action plan. I'm looking at the relationship also and seeing that fatigue is setting in. Whether it's like work stress or environmental stress, we don't want this to get to the point of an argument. It's avoidable. Both parties are going to need to compromise a little bit. 6 of Pentacles represents that nice, even middle ground, and knowing that there'll be times where you can get your way, they can get their way. But right now, especially with this, meeting somewhere in the middle is going to be important. So pick and choose battles wisely. I do feel like you're going to successfully get through this challenge. And if we take the devil out of the mix here, what I see going right in the relationship right now is there's a lot of sensitivity and perception. I think that one of the two of you is just not as good as at articulating or like communicating the appreciation. So maybe the meeting in the middle can just be saying, I appreciate that you did that, or I love you, or I see that. Somehow giving the other person props. If you're not used to doing it, it goes a long way. Patience is key. Before saying or doing something, just sit with it for a second. See if you still feel the same way tomorrow. Then you can talk to them about it. If something doesn't feel right, pump the brakes a little bit and talk to them about it and say, how are we going to manage this together? It is about togetherness. So I think that's the main thing here, is to communicate. We're a team. We can solve this, and make sure that both people are being heard. I mentioned earlier, the importance of validating what you think or assume that you heard, and making sure that your communication is being received by the other party. It really is just about communication here, but I like the rest of the cards. We got to get rid of this toxicity. So it could be a person, an environment, a job, something in the sort of surroundings or periphery of you isn't what it should be, and that is the number one challenge. Stubbornness and patience are going to play into this, so being open to trying new things is also super important. If you're single and looking, can you find someone? Yes. We have an Aquarius. We have a Capricorn that I probably wouldn't connect with. It's in the environment, and I'm reading this reverse devil as someone that isn't ready to step up to the plate, maybe a workaholic or something of that nature. But the Aquarius comes through loud and clear. We also have air signs that want to come through, but I really like the Aquarian energy. So if you're open to that, yes. There are a couple challenges going on in your life right now. I feel like you're overextended, too many things on your plate. You may be a little bit fatigued. Finances and work and school playing a very big part of the picture right now. Get those balanced out first. Find your zen. Then you can connect with the air sign. And again, of the three air signs, Gemini, Aquarius, and Libra, I feel like there could be an Aquarius coming forth. Other than that, I would say just focus on finishing what you've started in your life. As soon as you get those done, then you can focus on this. The person that's coming into your life would be from an unexpected place. The universe is trying to get your attention, or the person might be trying to get your attention, but you're focusing on something else. It's not what you expected. If you can get into a place where you're laughing and having fun, you're going to call them in faster. They may be drawn to your voice, your laughter, or the people that you're hanging out with. I kind of am conjuring up what looks like a party in my head. So it could be Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, Kwanzaa, one of the seasonal events that's happening. By all means, RSVP, yes, you might meet somebody there. If you're single and happy, good for you. You can accomplish so much financially, in education, and also in just getting out there and being the authentic, elevated version of yourself that you came to this planet to be. But definitely school and work and finances are coming through, jumping off the page almost. Make time if you want to, again, for some of you might be learning a new language because education and communication are coming forth. So it's a great time for that as well. But suffice it to say, once the self-care has been dealt with, getting enough rest, I feel like the sky is the limit. So embrace and enjoy and get out there and step into the spotlight. People are ready to receive. All right, we have two cards that came through for Destiny. I didn't notice it until I could kind of see this orange one peeking out. So the presenting energy is the void. And then underneath it is knowing without knowing. These are very compatible, actually. So when you think of space, a lot of outer space is just that, space. We have these bright, luminous objects, these big rocky and gaseous planets, but the biggest sort of thing out in outer space is just distance and space and void. So the void is in and of itself, the bigger the void, the bigger the opportunity to fill it with something amazing. So just because something is lacking doesn't mean that you can't create something beautiful within it. And basically, this is the star and the high priestess. Knowing without knowing. Like literally, that's this. That's clairsentience. That's clairvoyance. And you're going to step into that and create something beautiful. If no one else is doing it, you might also be the one that is best equipped to make it happen, okay? Trust that it can happen even if you can't see it right now. Knowing without knowing, we're back to the high priestess. Beautiful energies. All right, now is your chance to ask one final question. It can be anything that you still need some assistance with. Let's look at your final question and your final card. Go ahead and ask the question. I'm going to shuffle. We'll let spirit guides come through and guide you through this question. So this is a very easy one. If you asked a yes or no, it's a no. The reason is there might be something that isn't serving your highest good. The fact that we have a devil reversed in the environment tells me that there may be a better option. There may be a limit here that isn't suiting your highest good. And honestly, you might just not want to do it. Don't do something if you're not feeling it, okay? This is a moment in time to create balance in your life. We already had one card of balance at the center. So if something doesn't feel like you're getting what you need, or if you're exhausted or whatever it is, advocate for yourself, speak up, create better balance. This could also be a moment where you decide to fight. Justice in reverse is going to right a wrong. If there's an injustice, you bring it to the attention of others and you say, look at all of the facts and data. Look at what this should be. And the devil is going to kind of like shrink away because of that. As long as you have everything planned out and as long as you have all of the pieces of data, you should be fine. Stand up for yourself, say no, and create the necessary balance in your life, okay? And if you're like, Nicholas, I really want to do it, then it's a not yet. Something needs to be looked at a little bit closer, get a second set of eyes on it and make sure that you haven't missed something because you may be too close to this situation to see the big picture. And that, my friends, is everything for this month. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to hold some time and space in your month. Thank you for your patience. I really, really care about quality readings. So even yesterday, I'm like, I can only do one after the live stream. Aries is going to have to wait, and it will be an amazing reading, and they'll be happy that they waited. And so that's just kind of my own thing. If I can't do it well, I wait an extra day. If you enjoyed this, show me a little bit of love through liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Let me know what you're most looking forward to in the month ahead, what kind of new path that you might be forging for yourself. I look forward to seeing it. You can also follow me on social media. I'm basically Nicholas Ashbaugh on all major platforms. And if you need to get all of the official links, you can go to my website, which is nicholasashbaugh.com. You can show a little bit of love if you would like to by becoming a member or by simply leaving a sticker with your comment. All of these things help me put money back into cards and equipment and showing up for you. And another way that you can do it if you're not on YouTube all the time is through PayPal. Again, all of these links, official links, are on my website, so feel free to check it out if you'd like to. Let's give Apollo one last pat on the head, and then we'll wrap it up. Hey, buddy. Are you resting? I know. We'll let you be. He says, Dad, enough is enough. All right, guys, thank you so much. Take care of yourselves. Have a great holiday season. A happy New Year if I don't see you before the New Year, but hopefully I will because I do dailies, weeklies, monthlies, and also special lunar and solar events. So subscribe to the channel and check it out. I'll see you soon.